Hi, Gwendolyn, Adria. Um, I'm not sure if this will come through in the video. I'm feeling a little under the weather. I went on a trip this week to Minneapolis. Uh, for my editorial job, I got to go to the distributor and help pitch the book that I first worked on at Chin Music. And so it was like I said, Minneapolis. It was actually slightly warmer than it was in Seattle, but it was a drier cold when it did get cold. And something about the hotel room, it just got my throat raw. And I don't know, something, the stress, the dryness, the like weird time shifts, especially with daylight savings a couple weeks ago, um, I got a bit of a cold. So I've been sleeping like 9 hours a night, but I'm feeling better. I just sound off to me. Again, maybe you can't even hear. Yeah, so I just wanted to take this week to check in with my jobs because I'm still working multiple jobs, but things are feeling good. Now that I'm not working at the writing center anymore, I've gotten to shift my hours around at my editorial job, and that means that I'm getting home at a reasonable time. I don't feel so flustered commuting from one job to the other in the middle of the day. What I am juggling now is working on my editorial job and working on the documentary, which I know I've mentioned peripherally, mostly on Facebook, but I don't know if I've ever actually talked to you guys about. So, you guys both know Frances. You know I met her a couple years ago when I took one of her classes. Actually, Gwendolyn, I remember, I think the last time we all hung out together before you moved to Texas was at Frances's house while Adria was house sitting. It's not babysitting. House sitting and dog sitting. As I've been getting more comfortable in Seattle the last few years, as it's become more my home, Hugo House has really been a focal point for that because, you know, the right away and the English department and the literary scene really was huge to that. And so then, because Hugo House is the literary hub of Seattle, I was really interested in the chance to document this place that is sort of going away, except that because it's getting torn down. I don't know if you guys know this. They're tearing down the building, which was once a mortuary and was then a theater. And we're going to follow the history from those phases through when Frances and her friends moved in there and said, okay, we're going to start a literary center. But the thing is that the landowners were Frances's friends who bought it so that Hugo House could have a home in the first place, have been interviewing for years to find architects and developers that would work with them to build around Hugo House, the organization. And so, like, they're even making sure the new mixed-use apartments are going to be in the same, like, the entrance is going to be in the same place as the entrance is now. And so it's I've gotten very interested in social justice and in, like, the ways that change, you know, there's this idea of progress and that things are, like, shiny and new and look at how much nicer the neighborhood looks, but then, like, who gets shut out and, you know, did it, these things really need to be torn down? And in the case of Hugo House, like, it was kind of ramshackle and drafty, and the landowners could be using the money from apartments to, like, give to other charities, which is, I think, what their plan is. And so this is an example of, like, a nicer form of that change, but Capitol Hill as a whole is still undergoing that in such a huge way. And so I'm really excited for the chance to think through that and to get my hands in and play an active role in that. And it's funny that we're doing it in a documentary because my senior project for high school was making or compiling videos that people had made for class projects and making a library for the school. And I did research on the history of filmmaking, which is, I realize now, terribly broad and explains why my paper was so terrible. But I feel like I am pretty haphazard in the way I make these and don't really know what I'm doing. And almost none of us on the project know what we're doing, so it's weird that we're learning as we go along on this big project. But I've been doing a lot of things that I already kind of have been doing, which is a lot of Google spreadsheets and Google Docs in the Google folder. and setting up meetings and taking notes and sort of organizing people and like writing scripts, which I mean, I'm fine with writing. I'm fine with coming up with plans and sort of visioning like strategy. But still, to work on a different project is really strange. And we're also right now, I think Adria, I know you saw. I think you guys saw. We're doing an Indiegogo campaign to help make part of the funds. I've also been working with Francis and with Jack to write grant applications for the project, but we're getting part of the money from this Indiegogo campaign, and that's a whole new thing to learn. And I'm working the Twitter, which I don't know why, but we're also having an event which I need to plan because it's happening on this next Saturday, hopefully. But it's just so many things. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And it's like this thing that's chaotic and a lot of work, but it also feels like kind of a fun puzzle break to work on. And as much as it's hurting cats to get everyone even like 3/4 of the people in the same room at the same time, it's been really nice to work on. And I'm really grateful to get the chance to work on it and to get to keep doing things, even if I haven't made as much progress on my writing as I'd like since I graduated, to do things where I feel like I'm still growing. And so that's what I'm trying to focus on, even as I feel like I'm drowning, even as I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, even as I feel like, oh my God, how is this going to happen? That we're all, even if we're not getting quite there, quite in the polished way we might have thought, or that, you know, professionals might expect, we are learning and we are getting to it in a meaningful way. Anyways, getting a lot more respect for you, Gwendolyn, in the professional like scene that you're gonna be in one day, cause oh my God. Anyhow, that was, and it was great to hear your odds and ends last week, Adria. I liked your list format. It made it feel not odds and ends. It made it feel curated nicely. Looking forward to hearing from you next week, Gwendolyn. Hope you guys are doing all right. Bye.